Well, good morning, everybody. I'll give it a couple minutes to let some people log on. Guess Saturday morning might not be too active very early after shift, but I want to go through things. I know a lot of people are upset the following drop off, which is really what I want to do. I want to get the PCC, Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists, built, but I want to build right. I'm not going to build a party that's going to see epic failure. It's not where I'm going or where I ever wanted to go. I see people are starting to log on. So it's political science. I've been through this gambit many times. I told everybody a long time ago, I'm not a populist. I had a woman share a video of mine just back in June to me, and thousands of likes and loves, and a mass amount of shares, almost 100,000 views. Yeah, terrific. I think I beat all the mainstream politicians of that day on that particular video. I had a Remembrance Day post on Don Cherry that was 3 years ago. Went right across Canada. Unbelievable amount of followers. But the reality at the end of the day is it's not about me. It's not about my populism. It's about the party. And the party is the PCC, Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists. I can't be branded as a Green Party in a narrow margin, or see the party branded like the People's Party of Canada, which is going nowhere fast. That's the reality. I've gone through highs and lows. I've lost people. People have come and gone. That's the way it is. I've taken massive waves down and built massive waves up. It's called political science, and it's what has to be done. When you lose the concept of the mainstream Canadian, and you get pigeonholed in a narrow view, a narrow focus, and that can happen when you don't address any number of things that come up in Canada's history, yesterday, today, or what have you. I look at Indigenous Canadians, what has to be done. This party has to have an extremely focused platform on that, unlike any other party in Canada. It's got to have a platform that appeals to all Canadians, not radical fringe groups. That's why I'm rebranding and rebuilding. People are trying to accuse me of socialism because I won't follow their narratives. I work every day of my life. I'm a taxpayer, year after year, again and again. I pay my taxes. I put in more than I've ever taken out, like so many other Canadians. And they're the real losers every time. We're always the real losers every time. That's the targeted base that overlaps the Conservatives, the NDP, and the Liberals. They've been left behind. It's an incredible base. There's retired Canadians. They're a massive force and a massive amount of the electorate. To ignore that, to throw them under the bus, is suicide for any party. This platform that must go forward can't be about my personal views or special interest views or views of individuals, all in a narrow focus. That's what's happened with COVID-19. People have tried to draw on me and pigeon me into things, and it's never going to be me. I'm not a populist. I never have been. I never will be. I will always take the side of truth wherever that leads. And that is not good for politics, but it is exceptional for building a party. It's what has to be done when building a political party that you want to last the test of time. The PCC, Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists, can't get wrapped up into racism, into unscientific facts. It can't be drawn in to lunacy or radicalism, whether that's left or right, these fringe groups that some have turned out parties but are in no way, shape, or form ever going to be part of an electorate that's going to see governance. That's not what I'm building here. I'm building a party that goes across all of Canada. It's for absolutely all the First Peoples in Canada, the Métis and Inuit. The first time ever, it's actually for the average Canadian. And again, it's all about constitutionalism, a thing that is so foreign to Canadians, yet it's worldwide in concept and design. A lot of stronger countries than Canada doing much better than Canada and are growing to do much more better than Canada. And you all know that deep down in your hearts. You just don't know how to get there. My job is to provide that. I'm a builder. I've never been for populism. I'm never going to be. It's never going to be about me. It's actually about all of you. And there are times like COVID-19 where governments, especially autocratic governments, that you will find worldwide who ruin economies, slave people, remove rights. Canada's no exception to this. They're doing that. They've done massive damage economically to, again, the average Joe Jane Canadian and all the children of the future. I'm not ignorant to this fact. I've never supported the lockdowns as they are administered. I've never supported the business crushings. Never did. I championed all of it. But there comes a time when the way out and the science comes forward in the mainstream that you have to accept that. And that's the time in front of us right now. And I can't ignore it. I can't escape the truth. I can't throw away the facts. PCC, the party, must rise above all of that. That's bigger than me. It's bigger than my popularity. And I will sacrifice all kinds of friends and followers to see this through. Because those who truly care about me, those true friends of mine, they're always there for me. And there are still a lot of people who support me. And you will watch this Facebook come up again. And it will grow. I will get this party done. It's going to take many, many more months. That's a reality. But I would be doing a great disservice to everybody in the party if I went forward in any kind of radical agenda narrative that is only going to see a non-electoral base, meaning no election, no way to ever get any kind of governments. So what was the point? And just to highlight this, for those who don't know, in 2019, I was hit with the racism, the he's a pervert, all of it by the mainstream, all of it by all those political parties. Political science, you have to be free of that. The party platform and build must be free of all of it. And it can't be about me. It's never going to be about me or my feelings on things. The reality is you go with the numbers, you go with things as they really are, and you don't lie to people, which is foreign in Canada. It's extremely foreign. Canadians, even Indigenous persons of all walks, which is Treaty Indian, unceded, Métis, Inuit. I'm watching it go down right now for Remembrance Day. And I shared a video, 1963, this speech by Malcolm X, where he talks about the house slave and the field slave and the big difference that was alive in the 60s and is alive today right here in Canada with many, which they call Aboriginal, which is a wrong term, or Indigenous leaders. They know nothing of their own culture, of their own people. They are often part of that crown colonial system. I'm watching one with a pretty good following who's a woman who doesn't even understand the matriarchal system of the First Peoples of Canada, doesn't understand the gross human rights violations of unceded land in Canada and what's happened to all of the Indian peoples of Canada. And I use that term, Indian peoples, as in treaty Indians, unceded Indians, as it's legislated. And people who don't understand that, they remove that terminology to take away what's owed to you, what's fundamentally right for you, to hide from gross human rights violations. That's reality. They've been doing this to Canadians for the longest time. They divide, they conquer, and for people who don't understand what happened in the last election, PPC's radical agenda had to push the Conservatives into a more progressive state. They had to, and they still couldn't win the election. All methodically well thought out by one Justin Trudeau and his superior. And when I say that, his superior insiders attached to a very old Senate in Canada, a majority Senate in Canada, loyal to Trudeau's family, going all the way back to Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Smart persons. The NDP is just a stoke for the Liberals, which puts working class Canadians at extreme disadvantage. It's disgusting to see. I see a huge opening there. Working people pay the bills of this country. That's a fact. It's not the big rich employers. Small businesses do to a degree, but by a whopping large margin, the taxes of this country come from those who work, the working class. That's reality. And anyone who doesn't believe that, I don't know what to tell you. You don't get rights at all kinds of expense to everybody else, especially when you're not willing to pay for the costs associated with those rights. That is fundamental. That is something that is lost on Canadians. It's something where Canadians think, oh, I get my rights no matter the cost. That's not how it works. That's why constitutionalism is so important, and that's how the Crown continually beats down those who work the hardest, do the most for the country, and in the end, like every other Crown system built, just like Canada, I told people to look at Iceland. You can look at what happened to them in just the last 13 years. That country will never be the same as it was before 2009, 2008, 9, ever again. Charter banks grown and ballooned way past any normalcy of size, lending housing prices beyond any extreme, spending of citizens beyond any extreme, lending money, making wealthy financial persons extremely rich at the absolute expense of all of those people forevermore. The standard of living of the Icelandic peoples of Iceland will never ever be the same. It is half what it was. The value of those people and the rights they enjoy is half of what it was, and it will never ever be again. That will never be paid off. You will find this for Japan as well too, a dying country. I can go all around the world, country by country, and go through it constitutionally and it's in its entire history and show you just what it went through. Jaw-dropping, eye-popping. And a lot of people have no clue. Canada is on the cusp of it. One region in particular, Alberta, has maybe 4 years left in it before its existence as it has been since the 50s will be gone forever. And there is no coming back from that. Not without expanding the population 6-7 times and building some kind of new fabled industry. And since there isn't one in a region of that magnitude of climate, you'll never see it. You'll never see it. That's reality. And I can tell you this about Canada. If Alberta goes down, Canada goes down. And do you think any of the wealthy politicians, first-class citizens, care? They've already secured their special interests. Almost every single one of them, especially all the Privy Council members, go on to organizations, societies, and corporates, often extremely foreign funded, to enjoy positions where they generate millions of dollars salaries a year. Every single one of them goes on to it. Not by their education or their experience, but by the promises they made and kept for their special interest groups. Some are domestic, most foreign. That's reality. That is never going to be a part of the PCC, the only party of its kind. And my track record stands for the province of Alberta on the legal path to independence, as well as the first time in Canadian history, Treaty Indians, Métis, and Inuit were put on a published political platform in a majority in the entire history of Canada for full self-determination, self-government, and full settlement of the claims. Never been done in history. Right now, you can look at Edmonton, Alberta, and the River Valley. They're putting up a great monolith for Treaty Indian celebrations in Edmonton. They've changed names all over the ridings of Edmonton into Treaty Indian names. Do you know why that is? You can open my AIP platform. I included one extra Treaty Indian nation that isn't right now, and that's because of the municipality of Edmonton. A lot of people don't know this, but I published it more than 3 years ago, and I put the 49 down because there's one more that's in Edmonton, and right now they coddle, kiss butt, because there's unceded River Valley property of the old Fort Edmonton stolen from that tribe, and Edmonton bears that today. And that's why the city is doing what it's doing and the province is doing what it's doing, trying to make somewhat of amends for taking a property. And when I talk about water is life, that's why all of that industry on the Fort Edmonton run was removed from the river. That's why, because of the treaties, and water is life. I don't talk out my butt. I know what has to be done because I'm a master of political science and by no means a populist. I can grow populism or I can drop it at the drop of a dime, and I do it all the time. You can go on my history, you'll find I've been shared out thousands of times, and then I've been thrown to the garbage, to the wind, and I bounce back every time, and stronger to boot. You learn, you grow, you achieve. PCC, Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists, will last the test of time by the time I'm done. It will be mainstream, and it will be for all Canadians the legal path to fixing Canada and including every Canadian and all First Peoples, which is unceded Indian, Treaty Indian, Métis, and Inuit. It'll be done right, and it'll be done for all those in the second and third class, the little people. I will stand up to those would-be leaders who usurp everything. And then for Indigenous people, again, if you ever get a chance, I just put down a Treaty Indian woman from Treaty 6 in with National Post. She's a real piece of work, despicable to the culture and history of all First Peoples in Canada. Right in there, she's right corrupted with that Crown Colonial elite silver spoon. And I gave her the 1963, which shut her up, by Malcolm X. And that's exactly what she is. The house slave that loved the master and sure loved to get all the field slaves in line. It's a beautiful, beautiful presentation by Malcolm X. If you ever get a chance, 1963. Everybody should watch it. That's alive and well in Canada today. That's what was done to the African people. That existed in the United States of America. Not for many years now, but it did. They addressed it, they got rid of it, but not Canada. Canada continues on. And Canadians need to know, all First Peoples need to know, you need to know how to do battle. You need to know how to stand up. Thanks, that's my video. Share, share, share.